No, I didn't. But I'm
But
going
you're
to
going
eat
to
it.
eat it. Yeah,
I'm going to
good.
eat it, definitely, yeah.
Lovely. Oh, this is gorgeous. Oh,
Nice.
I'm pleased
are
he's
you
starting
all?
to stream when he eats. That's good. Do that again. Just yes, that's good.
All right, mate. How are you?
Good. I've been coercing people to captain cricket teams.
And have you
quite well,
succeeded?
Yeah, pretty good actually. I think I've done it.
Good.
Got Sanj as hopefully second team skipper,
Nice.
and Kevin Carruthers as third team.
Nice.
And hopefully, we need to chat about the vice skipper thing. I'm hoping Kenny will take that on for the twos, with the view to take it over in the longer term.
Sweet.
Possibly. So there we go.
Decent.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's cricket. We all belong to the same cricket club as well. You see, so we have this affinity with sport, and
Okay.
and we
All right,
tend
Terry.
to speak absolute nonsense about our cricket club and our football club.
I'm more into boxing, so I'm not really football. I'm not into really, and cricket. I don't understand it. To be fair.
Well, we don't understand it either. We just claim to and play.
It's like just up and white.
Yeah, yeah. Just like the kit.
I went to a cricket match once at the Oval with my friend. He raved about it. He was half Australian. He said, "Come to it," and he drank a load of beers and fell asleep. And I thought that was the name of the game.
You're not far off, actually. You're not far off.
Mate, that is literally all we do, isn't it?
You do know cricket. You do know it, you see.
Yeah, exactly.
He summarised it pretty well there. It's a chat. It's like a game of golf in some ways. It's like a long day, but a bit of a chat with your mates.
Yeah. Oh, I'm into cricket. I like it.
It's good.
We were
win
on
as well. Arsenal won, so that's good. Although
leave
Tottenham
off.
winning, unfortunately, but that's
Arsenal won today, did they?
That's not.
Yeah, beat Leicester 3-1.
Wow.
But all yeah.
Good old result. That always helps. At least you came in from the walking the dog, and then that was on. We were 1-0 down, and then turned it around, which is quite cool. Oh, I'm going to sit on the floor.
So I went for my walk when Arsenal were 1-0 down. And I haven't even checked the result. And now you've told me, I'm happy. Well-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, I make myself fat now on this cake.
Good
Beautiful.
man.
Francesca's 21st birthday cake.
Nice. Whereas we had a call. I'd done a call yesterday with Terry and Lee Fuller, who I think said he was joining, didn't he, Terry? I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to make it to that. We had a couple of podcasts today that was on some other people's, but he said he's going to try and make it around about 3. But to let you know that if he doesn't, if he's not on by 3, he's probably not going to be able to make it this time.
Nice. All right. Fair enough. Well, we was talking about like OCD yesterday, weren't we? And a couple of guys that were on the call were like, they struggle with proper OCD, not just having to have the sugar in the right place. Like they were talking about
toilet roll ran the wrong way. I had that this morning. Nightmare.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. Well, me and Terry were saying we have all that sort of problem, but these guys were saying about like hallucinating and thinking like there was.
Really?
One of the guys was saying he he thought there was someone outside behind the wall and stuff, didn't he? Like some really
Wow.
hard stuff. Which you think
how does that relate to OCD?
Well, I think like he was saying that he gets something's in his head and he's obsessive with what he comes into his head, and then starts to believe it and obsesses over it, and then would end up hiding in his bathroom and stuff like that. Sort of like I was saying, like I have it in terms of I get like obsessive with things. If I watch something, for example, then I have to like obsess over it and Google it until I feel like I'm satisfied that I know enough and I can't Google anymore. Do you know what I mean? And that will go on for days and days until I've got enough of the, of it.
Knowledge.
Yeah, like or
so you can
whether
understand it
it's-
though.
I don't know. Like I was saying about Princess Diana after the crown, right? I think I've said this to you before, and I'd literally was just reading about it, just wanted to know everything. Like got downloaded a book on Kindle, like all sorts of shit, like months and months. I've only just stopped looking into it, like that's how, and I started watching it in November.
This is OCD.
Well, that's what I would call OCD, obsessive. Okay. Like it's an obsessive disorder, right?
Compulsive disorder.
Yeah, where I can't stop obsessing over it. But then people think it's just because you have to have things in, a certain order or that sort of thing. But actually, these guys are talking about like it was different ball game, wasn't it, Terry?
Yeah, different leagues of. Well, I didn't even know existed myself. I would put that down to, I guess, paranoid schizophrenia, hearing voices. Or, I didn't realize that OCD could go to that level. I associated the same as Glenn, that I have a thing where I like everything neat and tidy and placed in the right way, and I always thought that was just that was what it was.
Yeah, I do the towels, the toilet roll. If it's not hanging
the right way,
that at the front, I have to turn around. I have to work out how to take the thing apart, to take even someone's house. I'll take it. I've got to change it
as well. Yeah,
it's so stupid.
Sorry, I just in case, I'd like to know what way you like the toilet roll. If it ever comes to mind, you don't have to turn.
It's got to be front way.
Got to be hanging from the front.
I like hang from the front all day long.
Okay, all right.
Dishwasher, you have little plates and bowls on the right hand side, and the big plates on the right, so they don't catch on the side. Knives in there, forks in there.
So isn't that just as you get older, you get into certain habits, and you want things to be just is rather than obsessive?
It might well be, actually, because it is something I didn't used to have. I was so sort of slovenly as a teenager, a young man, as it were. These sorts of things I didn't care about them.
But now
I've always cared about toilet rolls, though. I don't know why. I've always cared about toilet rolls. They've always got to come that way. It's an important thing in my life.
Okay. I have the one with hoovering as well. I seem to like hoover a lot more, even if I don't need to. It becomes either a routine or obsessive, because I like the stripes in the carpet as you hoover, and I like to try and get that.
I like that.
I get that. I do that as well. I haven't really thought about that, but I do. I love those lines. It's like, oh yeah, I know a hoover because it's got a lovely, beautiful line going that way and that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you do cut the grass, the same thing.
Yeah.
You do the same thing.
Exactly. I do exactly the same with the grass. It has to be the lines the same way every time I do it, and I'll go over it twice to get the perfect lawn.
It should be a groundsman.
I'd actually probably be really good at that. I've thought about that before. It's just I have to be in the mood for it, like for when you do your own garden, it's pride. I don't know about doing it as a job.
So my first job was in a graveyard, cutting the grass and helping dig the graves. But we weren't allowed to use the strimmer, so we used to cut with shears, everything as well. We can get a really good different, it go colour that way when you're cutting with shears as well. Just cutting that way and cut the other way and stuff. You could make some really nice patterns and stuff.
Yeah.
Weren't you using the jet spray today?
Huh?
The jet spray for the patio, weren't you doing that today?
That was hard work. Yeah, it was brilliant. I did that. But when I finished, everybody laughed. I was like, what's the matter? I was covered in mud.
Yeah, because it all sprays up.
And the inside of the conservatory was covered in mud. And the side of the house was covered in mud as well. Because you don't realise when you're spraying in how much comes. I just thought, this stuff coming out of stuff. But I was absolutely caked, head to toe in the whole stuff. And I had to then clean the house.
I done that the other day. As soon as the sun popped out, I think that was, what day are we on now? Sunday. I think it's Friday here in Portsmouth. Right. The sun popped out. I was straight out with a jet wash doing a patio because it's been green since the winter, the decking. And I literally fucked the rest of the house up. I had to go back for another hour and a half.
Cleaning the house. Yeah.
I just find the best way is to let it. I don't bother, so that's fine. It'll do.
Look at those little speckles off the brick, which only jet wash can do properly. But then when you go between the bricks, all hell breaks loose.
The mortar,
Yes.
yeah. My patio now's got grass ground between it. Where I've jet washed so many times, all the mortar out the middle of it.
Yeah. Do you fill it in with sand afterwards? I've got sand. You brush the sand in afterwards as well.
No, now I just keep jet washing the weeds out now every time I do it. So now
Right.
there's nothing left between the slabs. So eventually, when they work loose, I'll put a resin over it where I ain't got that problem no more. I'm gonna do that next.
Fantastic. So yeah, Glenn, although it's quite tiring, old grip. I don't know, it's just old age, or whatever else, but the old grip on the old hand was holding that all the time for about an hour. That's how I ended the session. I've got to do some after this actually. Do my next patch, as it were. But yeah, it works really well. Clean bricks, looks really nice.
Nice. Has anyone got anything they want to talk about this week? I had a few drinks last night, bit hungover today. Got a bit anxious about what I might have said or done last night. Not that I think I've done anything, but you know what it's like when you're hungover and you worry about it. Yeah, has anyone got anything else they want to talk about? Terry, do you want to share your story, mate? Or I mean, it's up to you if there's anything you want to talk about or Jasp.
I can share my story for you if you want. Is that
yeah, that'd be great if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, cool. I'm a burn survivor from 2007. I was attacked in my own home, me and my partner, by my uncle, who was a paranoid schizophrenic.
Wow.
With a petrol can with no lid on it and a lighter, looking for answers to paranoid delusions. So we'd moved from northwest London to Paignton in Devon. We was only there 8 months, but my mum moved there 3 months before us. So we moved there pretty close to my mum, but my uncle was already living there from London as well. So yeah, the 14th of October, Sunday 2007, that went down in our house while we were trying to cook a Sunday roast. He's come in, pouring petrol over his own head, throwing it towards me, and then went to go for my missus. Then me and him got in a wrestling match. He lit a lighter. Long story short, it blew up like a bomb because there's petrol everywhere.
Yeah.
I jumped out the window and survived. He didn't make it out of the fire. I guess I don't think he wanted to. I think he'd had enough of life or whatever.
Yeah.
And we was pretty close before this, by the way, as well. We used to go sea fishing together, and I know it's cliche to say, but they always say they try and take the closest ones to them for some reason. And then my journey really began then, because I thought I was right after the fire until the ambulance turned up and injected me with morphine, because I didn't realise how badly it burns continue to burn afterwards.
Right.
So then I ended up from Torquay Hospital, rushed to Bristol French A, and I was in a drug-induced coma for 6 weeks.
Good God.
My final rites read twice because I caught every superbug, MRSA, C. diff, pneumonia. And it was only one, and it's an ex-army hospital, so there's a lot of sergeants and things that were the main surgeons there. I forget the guy's name now, but he was an old sergeant in the army, stroking the medical team. He's the one that saved my life, essentially, because when they read my final rites a second time, he said, let me try one more thing overnight, where they put me on my front so I could use the back of my lungs to breathe, because nothing. And yeah, then I survived, basically. And then from that, I had to learn to walk again, because I deteriorated 6 weeks in a coma in hospital, and they took skin graft from my legs to rebuild my neck and my forearms. So I was 48% burns.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, man.
And I was put in a position where they'd grafted my neck that they didn't want to do. I was in a tracheostomy, so I had to relearn. It all healed tight, so I had a lot of complications that I had to overcome. So from that, really, they woke me up out my coma, and the only thing I first remember of the day of, because you lose so much track of time being in a drug-induced coma, you don't know where you are. I thought I'd missed Christmas because there's decorations at the end of the bed. And they obviously told me what happened, passed me a mirror. And I clocked, 28 years, I was 28 years old then, I'm 43 now. So it's 14 years ago now. I sort of looked in the mirror, and a monster looked back at me. I couldn't, because I was badly disfigured at that moment in 2007, and I couldn't believe the life-changing thing. Then I must have dipped back into a bit of a sleep, And then later on, I had my sister and my previous partner from a previous relationship. And I thought, like, shit, what's going on here? Like, I thought I was, I was having so many tripping out dreams anyway.
Back in time.
Yeah, I was going back in time. And they were both crying at the end of the bed and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then long and short of that was that my daughter was also fighting for her life from a previous relationship, but she lost her life in London, King's College Hospital.
Good God.
So from that day, they've told me your daughter didn't quite make her third birthday. So
what was wrong with your daughter?
So when she was born 3 years prior to that, she had her intestines grow outside of her stomach.
Okay.
So she had stomach problems. She was in Queen Charlotte's Hospital probably for about 3 months from her premature birth.
Wow.
But she was all, good. For me and the partner didn't get on. We moved on. But from what I knew before any of this happened to me, she was in good health. But
Right.
obviously, bad time, and it came back and took her life. Really.
Yeah. Yeah.
You woke up to that as well, then.
That's what I woke. That's the first, apart from the mirror part, which I barely remember. That was my main, because that's really like woke me up, if you know what I mean. Because now, and I couldn't physically do anything for myself. I was obviously had catheters and things. My arms were in splints, stretching my skin out of my hands. I couldn't talk because I had tracheostomy. Now all of a sudden I'm dealing with myself, but now I've just had a major loss as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from that point, my journey really started. The first day I actually walked, and I had to defy everything the doctors told me, it was at my daughter's funeral, 2 weeks after Christmas Day. So a week after New Year's, I walked the first time at her funeral.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah, and then obviously years of being under a clinical psychiatrist, because I suffered with PTSD, I suffered with disability. I had a major court case going on as well that I'll talk about in a minute. But so I was still in my grieving stage, getting back to myself. I was addicted to pharmaceutical. I had a pharmaceutical addiction now with temazepam and diazepam, Valiums and sleepers, because of my insomnia.
Yeah.
So I was trying to kick that habit, as well as my fitness levels, because I used to box and I couldn't. My hands were so set, I couldn't do anything. I literally walk, I get out of breath. My legs wouldn't function. So I built a gymnasium in my living room. My missus thought I finally lost the plot. And when she went to work during the days, I trained every day alone. So my hands bled on a punch bag. And I basically got myself back to normal. I couldn't move my neck. My neck was so tight. My skin, you can see it's rippled here, because I was in a position. I used to hang weights off my chin on the arm of the sofa to stretch my neck out.
Yeah.
So I went for a big battle of getting, and I did. To be fair, I won my battle. I'd say I would, because I'm 99% Terry again.
Yeah, you look pretty good on it.
Yeah, and then a year later, 2 years after that, obviously I didn't grieve properly, so it all caught up with me. I tried to take my own life a couple of times. I got in a really bad place. So then that's when I took on the clinical psychiatrist full time.
Yeah,
and I had to work on my own mind, and basically big court case that went on. I set precedents in law with it, changed the UK home insurance of making people responsible that you. Let me get it right. So their argument was that my uncle wasn't of the sane mind.
Yeah.
As if someone committed murder and they suffer with mental health. So I changed the law in insurance, not in that side of it, is that you still have a duty of care to others regardless of your faults.
Yeah.
And that's a quick summary of a very long road, but
yeah massive. That's fantastic.
And what connected you to Glenn and this and this little gathering we have?
Oh, sorry. So I do.
No, don't be sorry. Just a question.
Yeah. So I had Terry Dunnage Foundation, which was a men's burns charity that didn't do so well, because I ended up working with Katie Piper and Polly from Dan's Fund, the biggest burns and as a man, they didn't really want to hear me talking about body confidence and issues that I was having with myself. So I tended to just get umbrellaed by women and help women. Wow. So me and Lee, I done a show thing. I give up the charity number and everything, and I was just keeping my page open. I'd done something for Lee, a video for mentality, and we stayed in touch. And then he was also of the like mind thinking of, we want to do something for men. And he said, I've got a podcast, I'd like you to do it with me. And I said, all right, yeah, I'll be up for that. Never done anything like that. And he said, but I want to just do it men only. And I thought, oh, that's a bit sexist, because half my women are following it. Well, but I thought, let me roll with it. And that's where I met Glenn on there. I guess you knew Lee, did you, Glenn? I don't know how you both met.
I'd come across Lee on LinkedIn. We linked on there, and then all of a sudden we done a call together, and then I joined obviously the call a couple of weeks ago. Follow the podcast that you guys do, and then obviously we jumped on a call again yesterday. So that's kind of how. There's basically like, what is there, like 10? There was probably 8 or 9, 10 of us yesterday, and they're all guys that are pretty much running pages or doing stuff for men's mental health. So it's kind of like a advocate group that we've kind of teamed up with, I guess, guys. So
nice.
Stronger in numbers and all that.
Yes.
So yeah, that's it really. Like, thanks for sharing your story, mate. I appreciate it.
Yeah, amazing story.
I've actually got a documentary and a book out. Like it's on YouTube. If you ever want, this my life story there, which probably explains it better than how I brushed over it. But there is things out there.
Well, I'll probably get obsessed with it, mate. Now, so you'll be like,
so you probably find I'll go.
I'll be thinking about you all the time. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll obsessively help you because I've got.
Yeah, Glenn knocking on your door.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't want that.
Well, if he does that, it means he's left Dubai.
Yeah, I've left. Yeah, I'll fly back to see you, mate. I'll get that obsessed.
So you're still down in Devon, are you, Terry?
No, I'm in Portsmouth now, like Hampshire.
Okay.
So
nice.
I'm in Waterlooville. I went back to London afterwards. I never really left London. I was born in Hammersmith.
Yeah.
We won't hold that against you. That's West London. I forgive you. West
London there, but I was born there, but grew up in Chiswick for my first year of life, but then in Norfolk by Harrow. I was there all my life, Northwest London.
All right.
But this is the best place by far I've ever moved to, and I moved here purely because my auntie was here and my missus liked it, and it's the best place I've ever lived. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm outside.
We're all from southeast, aren't we? We're Croydon, Bromley,
Southwest originally. So I'm Southwest originally. You got to get that. Just happened to end up in Bromley.
Yeah, Bromley's in Kent, isn't it? On the border.
Yeah, it's Greater London, Kent. But you have arguments with people from Kent. They say no, Bromley's London.
And that's what I'm that guy.
Yeah. So, but it's Greater London now rather than Kent.
Well, so you guys already have known each other a long time then?
Yes, we have known each other a long time.
Because of the cricket club. But yeah, Jasper used to be my cricket coach, and then Doug kind of coached me. I played with Doug a few times, but he was too good for me.
Cricket. He played with Doug at cricket. Nothing else.
Nothing else. Not yeah.
Just in case people are listening and they see this and go, "What did they play together?" Yes, it was cricket and football.
Oh, football. Yeah, I might play with your football, Glenn, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was probably better than you at that, though. To be fair.
I knew that was coming. That was
first team many years, Glenn. Many years.
Yeah.
Why did you guys start this then? What made you boys, if you don't mind me asking, what made you three start this men's mental health group? Or what do you class yourself as? I didn't even ask or look into it.
Well, that's an interesting question. I blame Glenn.
I blame Glenn too.
That's good.
Yeah.
So we all blame Glenn.
That's my fault.
So Glenn obviously has had a few things happen to him. He can tell his story his own way, but I've known him, I don't know, since he's been about 11 years old, I guess, maybe 10.
Yeah, something like that.
And he's always been bubbly, larger than life sort of person. Not the life and soul of the party, but the boy that everybody looks to, and just very confident. Anyway, so over many years of knowing him and getting to know him in different ways and whatever, his traveling and moving around the world and doing his thing, he rang me and said, look, he did this thing in Australia, men's mental health. He wanted to do something here in the UK. And he said, would I be involved? And I just said yes, because I know him. I know what he's been through. I know what he wants to do. And also my own mental health, if you like, the way anxiety that I have, and little things and things that you consider certain things you're never going to do, but you think about them.
Yeah.
Loss, people going, leaving, I felt this was a good time, because for me to talk and chat to people is a way to help myself. And by helping myself, then I hopefully will help other people.
Yeah.
So when he suggested it and what to do and how to do it, I said yes. And I'll let Dougie explain why he is, but we're all connected via this club, Old Wilsonians. And when this wonderful world opens up again, we'll be doing things our way, which is through sport, through eating, drinking, talking, but mainly through sport at a club that's on top of a hill. That's the best way to describe it. That's why it's better of the hill. There you go.
Yeah, that's it basically. Yeah.
Sorry, that's the best
We're
way
on
to
top.
describe it.
So the short version is we're just on top of an hill. So we just thought we'd
No, we are.
form a club. form
Hayes
a
Hill.
group.
Hayes Hill's the vocal.
Hayes Hill.
So that's why I started. That's why I joined, and that's why I'm happy to be involved.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, my side of things, again, I mean, obviously I completely blame Glenn for it. But yeah, I mean, I've really struggled since my dad died. I've never really experienced losing anybody. When I lost my grandparents, I never knew my grandfathers. I knew my grandmothers, but I was so young when they died, it didn't really affect me at all and things. And, and people have sort of passed and things, but nothing's really ever really hit me before. And it's only then that I realised that I hold everything aside. I never talk about things, you know.
Oh, here he comes.
Here he is. Oh, he's on because Tottenham are winning.
Winning. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Just put him on mute. Put him on mute, Glenn.
I would have still turned up if it weren't. What's the matter with you? Shut up,
check the score first. Check the score first, and then come on.
I've been busy watching it. I forgot you guys was hanging about. That was always at the bar.
We were ahead of you briefly. We were ahead of you for a second there, Arsenal. Thank God.
Have I got to mute you already, Del?
Because of your dog.
What happened yesterday?
No, has he got to mute you already?
Oh, well, I ain't got the telly on, but the dog's barking. So
exactly.
I can't tell it. Well, I can tell it to shut, but you'll ignore me. That's a good save. What's going on anyway? What are we talking about?
Doug was talking about why he got involved with Men of the Hill and his story basically.
We're blaming Glenn basically. So
blaming me.
Start off with I blame Glenn, and then you tell his story.
Yeah,
and that's cool.
So ultimately, it's Glenn's fault then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, certainly for Doug and myself, yes.
Okay, we got that.
We know that Del's going to blame me for something as well, isn't he?
I can't. But what can I blame you for?
I don't know, for being a West Ham fan and turning you over last week.
It's an affliction, mate. You can't hold that against you. It's an affliction.
Let's get back to Dougie anyway.
Yeah, let Dougie finish.
Yeah. So, and then Glenn rang me out of nowhere, really, and
don't know, Dan.
It's just talking and stuff. It helps so much. But I mean, I kind of only recently realised that. Just through my family, the way it's, we weren't very talkative in the family. My dad's pretty old school. Growing up, it was discipline was the the way to treat a child, as it were, and grow up that way. I had so the last lockdown, I started up a Facebook page and group of stuff. And people in the club had joined it and stuff. I had 150 odd people and things, that was just trying to get people talking and stuff. And this fitted with it perfectly. And it's just good to have somewhere you can go out and talk rather than just sit at home like this sort of stuff. Have a conversation and things. So yeah, it's as simple as that, really. For me, it's therapeutic. I enjoy it. It's doing good. It's nice. The people I've met have been fantastic. That I've met on here have been really, really good. And I think Glenn's doing a great job with stuff outside us as well. He's really, pushing it forward and making a difference, which is fantastic. And I'll fully support him as best I can.
Thanks, guys. Although I couldn't do it without you guys' support. You know what I mean?
Yes, you could, but we're happy to support you.
Your sincerity means everything to me.
Oh dear. We basically have started it to, like we said, for the sports side, really. Like, we wanted to do it through the club and do charity matches and cricket and football matches and get other clubs on board and, integrate a sort of men's mental health awareness group within every club. Basically, that's our goal, to get everyone recognizing it and making sure that they're providing, something to raise awareness somehow, whether that's just having games with us or doing something within their own club. But obviously we at this point we can't really do any of that. So that's how the Zoom started coming about. It was just me, Jasper, Doug and Matt, another guy, Matt, at one point. And then I think, we had one new guy come on, and the next week we had another new guy, and then 1 week it all turned into like 12, 13, 14 people. And all of a sudden now we're running Zoom calls every week when it was meant to be every month, and everyone's sort of, wanting to do it, aren't they? So we kind of accidentally started this, I suppose.
And this is this Sundays is just like, we're going to have an hour of talking absolute whatever and anything and nothing.
Well, that's what I mean. It can either be.
I come for the intellectual content.
Yeah, Dale's our intellectual content. Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, Doug.
That's what you're saying.
Not a chance.
But I guess that's what me and Lee did, where me and Lee probably attack it from a different angle, as in that we want to create a space for men to come to.
Yes.
I think we, as men, we underestimate that we're not much different to women, although we've been taught to man up, be man's man, and ultimately that's why male suicide is up more than women, obviously, and we tend to suffer in silence a lot. So with mine and Lee's spin on it, like this morning we done a podcast for the first time with an Australian woman who fights for women's rights, to do the crossover, to have the conversation between the two of us and our what both views are. And with me and Lee sort of pride ourselves on what we're trying to do on podcast. We're brutally honest, whether it's down to sex, men's feelings, and like Glenn knew, like what Lee said, even the stupid thoughts that we have, to be able to air that, to make it acceptable for another man, because some things just never get spoke about. So, I take my hat off to you guys as well. However you started, it doesn't matter. You know each other, but you actually would probably, you guys probably know, but you actually support each other. Like you just said there on a Sunday, you little meet up. Men need men because we lean on each other. It's like going back to the old tribesmen, and if we can share and talk this, I know probably like me, we come off the call like you guys probably do. It feels like you've had some company of other men and shared whatever your thoughts were, and whether it be for sports, football, whatever it is, you've had a bit of banter. You go away from that happy.
Yeah. I think last week there was some new people on the call, and some of the stories and the discussion they had that, for them to air that with us, I felt quite privileged and to listen. And then to reach out to them afterwards and say, we're here because that's what we are. We're all in this together. It's not.
Yeah.
It is about being in it together and helping each other.
100%. And the same for me. When I started this with Lee, obviously I started a Burns journey. I was a victim of mental health and then suffered with it.
Yeah.
So I wanted it, and there was no help for me. So my thing, I wanted to give something back to other men in particular, but was being sexist and things because I was working amongst women in a women's world of what I was trying to do with the body confidence as well. So I thought my crossover was in a women's world at one point. So for me, I love the idea of helping men, and that's what I want to stay true to. And from starting this podcast and being me and Lee said to each other, or he said to me, what I want to do is I just want to be brutally honest. And I thought, well, how honest can you actually be? But I realised you could be really honest, and to share. So far we've done one season, and it's even changed my life. I would say I was 99% from anxiety and mental health myself and well-being. I'm there, but I'm still learning every day. Like you just said there, you listen to other people's stories. You take.
Is there not a fine line though in this day and age with honesty? With all these so-called woke people, that sometimes that honesty that is so good for you to get out and get almost unburden yourself of it, becomes, I don't know what the word is, probably a problem for someone else. It's a very fine line, I would have thought.
Yeah, it depends how you're projecting yourself onto someone, doesn't it? Let's look at my life, for example. From my burns, before that, I grew up on a council estate, and I lived a life of crime. I've never spoke about that, but I openly spoke about it on the podcast with people. And if we don't break down the stigma that someone's been there, but now I'm not that, someone might be stuck in that life or in a product of their environment and don't see a way out.
Well, it's showing someone hope, isn't it? I suppose.
Exactly. Live to inspire others, and it all rests with us and the younger men below us. If we can show them that we've been there, seen it, and done it, and show them a different. We can only show people, and they take it how they want to take their journey.
I mean, that's one of the areas where the club, mainly, I would have said more of late. I've only recently gone back to the club after a few years away, but it became quite obvious that where there's a lot of the youngsters that we sort of brought through years and years ago, they've sort of returned to the club, and there seems to be a lot more of that imparting of wisdom, and well, I don't know about wisdom, actually thinking about it. That's probably the wrong word.
Hell's wisdom hour.
Let's say life experience then. Let's
yes.
Yeah.
And I think it works both ways, if I'm being honest, because we probably learn as much off of them now as they learn from us. So that's always a good thing. And although it's not what you would say a highlighted support group, if you like, ultimately that's what it is. That's what the club is.
But if you go back then to gentlemen's clubs years ago, youth clubs for the young, let's give it 2 generations.
I was going to say slightly different, a youth club and a gentlemen's club. I don't know, like
no, not the gentleman club you're thinking of.
No, you started me on them.
No, I didn't. I didn't start you on them.
Pound in, gentlemen.
But if you think through and through that, whatever the situation is, whether it's a youth club, whether it's a gentleman's club, and I'm talking like guys playing football in a youth club because we're subjects men, but ultimately you go there to be amongst other men and have a laugh and a joke, and whatever comes out you talk about, whatever doesn't you don't. So you laugh and joke and it's just the being around other people, and the same in essence. If you're in a gentleman's club, you smoke cigars, or there's city girls dancing around poles, you're still really there with your friend. Bottom line is you're there to spend time with other men, and I think that's what we forget. So what you guys do, just to answer your question there, however you started it, the young generation inspire you, but you still created your little group here, and look forward to it.
True.
And that just proves in itself that men need other men, maybe, is my view.
Exactly.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you used to coach. There was sort of used to coach with the Colts and stuff, and that must. I mean, I've always enjoyed the coaching side of things as well. Seeing the kids grow, sharing experiences with them and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's. Do you know what? One of the biggest things for me was when I came back, but I think it was it last year? Might be the year before actually, because I played a couple of games the year before, and to see that you had like Michael Mitchell there, who was now the skipper of the Ones.
Yeah.
And for him to sort of be out,
he was a little goofy kid, wasn't he?
Oh mate, I mean, you like all of them. You had him, Jonathan Rodder, Chris
Scott.
Yeah, Chris Scott. And what's his name?
Kenny Maxwell.
No, I can't think of. There's a few of them anyway, but I mean, all of them sort of coming through, and to see it sort of almost fills you with a bit of pride. But then I suppose that's why you do it. I mean, I manage a team of people at work. When we get plaudits at work, makes you proud because you think, well, I'm bringing them through, I'm nurturing them, I'm doing whatever. And it's the same with the kids. It's when you can say that you coached. I'm not saying that not saying it's down to me that he's the cricketer that he is, because he ain't. But do you know what I mean? It's when you can say you coached the first team skipper. 10, 15 years ago, whatever it was, it sort of does fill you with a bit of pride.
You've not too bad with him. I mean, he's turned all right, hasn't he? He's a lovely kid.
it wasn't solely me. I mean, we tried our best to ruin it, but
No.
it never quite worked out.
But that's it, though. I mean, but you've been there, you spent years coaching as well. It's not just you turn up one weekend kind of thing. You went to the courses, you took your time out for the kids and stuff. That's the thing, and that's the beauty of coaching is you've committed to do something, and you spent years doing it and make a difference. And those kids staying at the club and not going elsewhere is it's a big testament to you and everybody else has coached. Jasper.
Well, I think it's more a testament to the setup of the club. If I'm being honest, I mean it's quite a it's a good environment for the people. I mean, we tried. I think I don't know. It might have been a year. I think the Colts might have been going a year before I joined, and me and Ian sort of firing on with it. But the club, the club was set up before I joined, and the structure was there.
Yeah.
All we did was facilitate it. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you've got a welcoming environment where kids are going to enjoy themselves, and you know as well as I do, I don't think it's changed now to when we was coaching before. But basically, parents ultimately just wanted to drop their kids off at the weekend for a couple of hours to give them some peace. But realistically, what was happening was that those parents were dropping their kids off and then hanging about because it was a good environment. They'd chat with other parents, and if the club was open, they'd have a coffee, or if it was an afternoon, they could have a beer or whatever. It was down to the environment that was fostered there. So
there's nothing better than
the Friday sessions.
Dad's playing with their sons and stuff. We can get a whole team out now of sons and dads, which is, I think, it's a beautiful thing. And they love it. It's like, oh my God, I never thought I'd ever play cricket again because my son's playing. I've got a chance to play. Of course they'll play. It makes it's a massive thing. And then the wife stays, and the whole family get involved, which is lovely.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are coaches.
When the parents stay and you've got the juniors and the youngsters, it's a great atmosphere because you got 30, 40 kids and 60 odd adults watching and other kids watching and playing. It's a very, very good place to be.
It is. It's lovely.
It's just a big family, isn't it? And that's why,
it is.
I've been there for 20 odd years, and I just love it. I just what everyone's done for me.
It's interesting you say that, though, Glenn, because like any family, and I agree with you totally, is like a family. I mean, if you think about the amount of time, I mean, obviously, I haven't been up there as much as over the last few years as I was previously. I mean, previously I was up there every weekend, committee meetings in the week, so it was a bit of not a full-time thing, but, it took over your life a little bit. And then having kids, that's when I had to sort of rein it in a bit. But like any family, it has its problems. And I think, even though there's been problems over the years, people still tend to drift back because it is that environment. And you realise that, some of the things that happen are just blips. They are just, little disagreements, little arguments, little sort of bumps along the road. Whereas I know that in other clubs, it hasn't been like that. It's there's been disagreements or arguments, and people just don't come back.
Yeah,
true. That's because we've got good people. I mean, we have good people at the top as well. Jasper's a great example of that. Jasper's done fantastic stuff from the club since he's joined. He sort of got involved, and now he heavily got involved. But he makes a massive difference, and he's a good person, and people respect that.
Yeah, I'm claiming the blame for that one.
Yeah, well, see, worse than Glenn's. Your crime.
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, when Jasper and I came up the club, I mean, I came up there. I was up there for a few months beforehand. But we were at a club where it just was a bit of a toxic atmosphere. And, we were of the opinion, when I came to the club, I had no intentions really of getting involved in the coaching side of things and everything. It was just somewhere to come play cricket. And, I can bet your life that when Jasper came, it was like he wasn't expecting to be, up the top of the tree. It was just a case of, we were coming to play cricket.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but it just shows you how it grabs you. And
I blame IP.
yeah, well,
he's not here actually. We can all blame
to answer
IP.
for it, is he? So
I did chat. I went walking with. I did a walk with IP because he hasn't.
What was that, round the block?
Yeah, no, it was a bit more than round the block. We did about 1.5 miles.
Yeah, he'd been puffed out by then.
No, he was puffed out. But we're going to walk it. So he wants to walk next to it. It's nice because now my mission with him is to get him walking, so he can lose some weight and be back out there playing cricket again or standing at the bar and drinking.
He needs to look after himself, that man. Yeah. Yeah, oh, good.
So yeah, it was good to walk with him and to encourage him to walk again and keep going because
See, there's a lot of stories and a lot of wisdom, experience that going for a walk with IP. I should imagine it was a quite a eventful 1.5 miles.
Yeah, I walked around the back of the Warren, and I've never seen that the Warren is the Metropolitan Police Sports Ground in Kent.
Yeah.
And I've never seen it. I've never been there. I've only seen it from the road. I didn't know what it looked like. So that was interesting to see that place.
It's nice. Yeah. I'm a member there.
So I hear.
Just as a don't know why they let me in there, but
so Terry, IP's another sort of stalwart of the club, really. He's now life president of cricket.
Yep.
And stuff. But he's won, him and his brother and his wife actually. I think when I was chairman of the cricket club, I said, I was going to ask your wife if she could take over the Colts because women are just brilliant at running those sorts of things, getting money in, getting kids to games and stuff and things. And he went, she'll never say yes. I said, but she did. He goes, oh, she did. I could spend more time at the club.
To be fair, when we were doing the Colts, Denise was a massive part, huge part. Because we started off, we only had two. We had 2 under-13 teams, and she was doing all the stuff in the background. I mean, we were doing the coaching and the team. Do you know what? Going back to that, one of the biggest memories I've got of that was that we lost out with winning the league. I'm not going to go into the full story, but there was a Peter Cheat umpire from Midland Bank. What do they call them?
HSBC.
HSBC. That was it. Yeah, and effectively we lost out on the last game of the season because they gave a wide when it was clear it wasn't wide. But anyway, so we went to the presentation of the league, and we had to ask for extra medals.
Yeah.
Because we had 2 under-13 teams, and I think we'd played. There'd been something like 22 people had played for the league runner-up side. And at that presentation, we had about, I would say, a good 6 or 7 groups of parents, or parents come up to us and say, look, we're interested in our kids coming and playing next year because you've got such a good ethos. Because it wasn't about the winning; it was about making sure that all the kids enjoyed the cricket.
Yeah. Still today.
Yeah, and it was, and that sort of validates what you're doing as well. And even some of the kids who were attached to HSBC, were coming to us and saying, well, look, we want our kids to come because we want them to play cricket. We don't want them to play one game when one of the first team players is not available. We want him to be playing cricket every week. And HSBC, I don't know what the setup was there. It wasn't great, obviously, but it was. That's a validation. That's a validation of the club and the ethos there.
Yeah. I think we are very much a family club, aren't we? And that's what we sort of, want to carry on doing. Whereas club like HSBC is probably not so much family and orientated as we are. Hence it being the bank and all that. So but they do play pretty good standard of all those sports, don't they? So
they do.
But how much of that is down to funding and stuff, though?
Oh, of course it is.
They don't necessarily get a lot of funding. That just right place, right.
Yeah, there's a lot of money kicking about there, though, isn't there?
Again, don't know, don't think so. the
people that go up
like everybody.
People that go up there.
Well, the thing is, like, I mean, I tried to reach out to a few of them, but to get them on board with it, with what we're doing, you know. But I didn't have much in regards to feedback on that. To be fair,
I was going to ask that, Glenn. To be fair, I was going to ask how much response you've had from the other clubs.
Well, Bromley Bromley.
Common.
I don't know what Bromley one it was. Luke Loveridge came back. He said he was interested, but
Bromley Town
from them.
Bromley Town. He is.
Yeah.
Beckenham Rugby Club have already got like a strong mental health, mental health structure in the club already, like, and are linked with like some, I don't know who they are, but they basically got loads of different rugby clubs on their books basically and work with them. So they've got a pretty solid thing going already, to be fair. But I did say to them, like, if they wanted to do some sort of, like, you know, charity game and stuff like that, then obviously we can do that. And they seem keen on that, which is good. But in terms of other clubs, I haven't really had much back. And I think because we can't really do a lot until we can start doing stuff, then we can probably get them on board more, you know?
Yeah.
But I think with these guys, I think sharing our story, like sharing my story, sharing our stories to them and getting them on a call so that we can, you know, get them to understand why we're doing it, you know, tell them about, you know, why we're doing it at the club and, you know, about the guys that have taken their own life that, you know, we were, you know, that made it close to our hearts and stuff, to try and get them to understand and see why we're doing it, you know. And then maybe they can go, oh yeah, well, we know someone, or they'll have something relatable to what we're doing then, to give them, you know, a purpose to want to get involved, you know.
Yeah. That's very
so
true.
I don't know, but it's a slow process, isn't it? And
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't have to be quick. We're not going anywhere. If somebody comes on a call once and listens and enjoys the experience, but get something from it, that's all we want. If they come again, even better. If they don't, it's what. There's no.
How do you find that, Terry? Sort of people coming back. Do you have the same people coming back, or do you get different people dropping into your sessions and stuff?
Well, as in the podcast now, when I did charity, I built a big community of women and men, and they sort of stayed with me. But now I've gone into the podcast fully into men's. I guess because we've only done season 1, we get your good regular people that really believe it, and then we get people come and go, but it's still early days yet, so I don't know who will stay and who will be reoccurring.
Okay. How many people typically listen to your podcast then?
Well, we're on Spotify. We don't do it live like you guys are doing it now.
Okay.
We pre-record it, edit it, put it up. So we take a subject every week and choose who we can get on there.
Okay.
So we do celebrities as well as the everyday people. That series 1 was a bit of a mixture, but now series 2 is just going to be the everyday people that we're trying to help.
Okay.
And just like a men's chat, just sitting in a pub like you.
And it's on Spotify or on where? How can one just?
It's on Spotify, Apple. It's called the Men's Cave podcast.
The men. Okay.
And so it's available on all platforms. But I was just interested in listening to you, Glenn, and that then, and what you was all saying there, is that it is hard to try and get into places to make them changes.
Yeah.
From what I learned, you just got to keep going and keep adapting until you find your way into somewhere, and they believe in you and you guys what you're trying to do.
Do you know? Do you know what? It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. I prior to the last couple of years before that, 5 years before that, probably the worst time of my life, and I went through loads of different things where, you know, I really needed help, but felt that there wasn't really anywhere to go as such. Even sort of, it wasn't a case of like, I didn't think I could talk to people. I just didn't want to burden people. And I think, you know, recognised bodies of, you know, I don't know, sort of mental health, what's the word I'm looking for? Not charities, but, you know, counsellors and stuff like that, you know, you sort of go there and I think the one thing that you sort of comes home to is that, you know, you can talk and talk and talk, but ultimately you've got to, maybe that was the thing that I needed to do. Realize that you can talk and talk and talk, but actually there's only one person can change what you are doing and how you are doing it and how you are feeling. And ultimately that's you.
Yeah.
Now, whether that, you know, sometimes, no, because I'm not being funny. You might go to your mates, and your mates are going to turn around and say to you, listen, this is what you need to do. All right. You know, it's staring you in the face, but this is what you need to do. And sometimes you need someone who's close to you to turn around and go, listen, you're being a twat. This is what you need to do. Whereas if you go to a mental health counsellor, they're never going to tell you that. No. They're going to say to you, what do you think you should do? You know, what, and don't get me wrong, I'm not rubbishing what they do, because that's, you know, that would be churlish and stupid and, you know, downright disrespectful. But I think sometimes you do need like one of your mates, and that's where I think the problem lies, is because you don't go to your mates and say, you know, because you're embarrassed, because you don't want to burden them, you don't, you know what I mean? I don't know, yeah.
But Dale, that's what counsellors do. So exactly what you just said there is what they do. They throw a question back at you, because the answers we always have within. If we search deeper, we're taught to think outside the box. We can solve our own problems. So you're right. It's always with ourselves. It starts with you. If you're an addict, you've got to want to give up and then take the journey of looking for the avenues, because it's always within you of how you do it. But ultimately, I was under a clinical psychiatrist for 6 years. And if I said out of 100%, she probably helped me 15%. But what I did do was I made myself a bit more open, rather than being a closed man and a manly man. And I didn't really get it from my family, to be honest. I think I had to go outside of that, because like you said just there, if I go to some of my friends and say, "Tell, stop being a dick, mate," or "Stop fucking sort yourself out," and it'd be the same old thing, man up, you know, like, because they know enough to tell you that. So I then had to look out, because your mindset's everything, right? I had to change my mindset to overcome everything that I did. It wasn't sitting right. If I kept living the same narrative every day that I knew, I wasn't going anywhere. I was going in circles. I was suffering PTSD. I wasn't getting anywhere. So I had to start looking at new things, and like you, Glenn, I had to research things and try shit that I never tried before. And I might only take a little bit of that, but collectively, the answers were always there. I just needed to look at different angles of it and think outside of my own, everything I know.
Yeah, maybe it's that. I suppose with the counselling side of things, it's the 15%, but it's the 15% you need to get you going on the other.
To get you
85.
going, yeah. Well, this is what I was saying. I went to, like, what was it? When I was probably 21, I went to Bromley Counselling Service, and I was talking about things. I didn't get any answers. I didn't figure out why I felt the way I did, and what, you know, how I can fix that. I didn't find out any of that, but I did talk, and I did let go of things that I was probably, you know, holding inside and wouldn't tell anyone else or talk to anyone else about, certainly not my family and probably not my friends, or anyone really, because they sort of force it out of you some way, you know, whatever, you know, that it would normally start with, "What do you want to talk about today?" And I'd be like, "I don't know." And then and I wouldn't really want to talk about anything. And then they start getting you at it. And then once I start going, that's it. You know, you can't kind of stop. And then you go on a rant kind of thing.
A bit like every week with you on this call, you start.
Well, that's it. Once I start,
and then you go
every
on a
call.
rant.
That's what I said when I got on the call with Terry and Lee the first time. I think it was at least half hour. Everyone else was talking, and I was like, you know, I want to get in now. I want to start. So I let everyone talk first, and then that was it. I didn't stop for about 10 minutes.
Do you know what? Sorry, Glenn. Go on, mate.
Go on. No, that was pretty much it anyway.
I was just going to say, I don't think. I think the I know it's going to sound stupid, but having a dog or having, I don't know about other animals because I don't really know, but having a dog, I think is probably the reason why I'm still here now. If I'm being honest, if I want to be completely brutally honest about it, I mean, he was the only constant I had throughout the 5 years. And he was probably the reason why I, got up most days. Because that, that's just how it was, really.
But that consistency in your life is a big thing, no? I've loved having a dog. 8 months as it were, but it's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's routine and something to I mean, I'm not saying you focus everything on your dog, but you have to get up to look after that dog. It's the same as if you you have to sort out your kids. You have to, you know what I mean? Like busy. You have to get up and you have to get out of bed to be able to help that dog or do what that dog needs or whatever.
Well, I think part of it was the fact that I was more worried about what would happen to him if I wasn't here. If I'm being honest. I mean, I didn't. It's weird because I don't think it was even the fact. Maybe sort of the later part of it, but not even the kids, because I thought, well, the kids would be fine. They got their mother and everything else, and because I weren't seeing them anyway, and still ain't seeing them. It's like, well, you have to sort of program yourself to shut it off. You can't think about it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. No, you've always had, as long as I've known you, you've had dogs still.
Yeah.
And they're always been, those dogs have always been barking and constant in your life.
Yeah, they don't shut up. A bit like the women, to be fair. But
there you go. So it's a pattern emerging there. But,
And just a thing there that I wanted to touch on what Glenn was saying about what I learned from my psychiatrist where I was under for so long. What I didn't figure out till I actually wrote my book, because I released my notes. I had to get my notes released from her because I put all my psychiatric reports from day one to the end in my book. Yeah. And I did, and she actually told me at the end, she said, because I could never work out. At 28 years old, I was burnt. I was attacked in my own home, and she's trying to take me back to my childhood. And I thought, no disrespect, what the hell has that got to do with how I came to someone attacking me in my home now? Yeah. But like you said, Del, is that I didn't realize how much shit I was carrying from childhood. Sorry to swear, but how much. So she said, I knew with you through taking you backwards, how I could work with you going forwards. As in, I knew you was a brilliant guy. You'd been through so much, so you was a strong character. You had a good sense of humor. So they take you backwards to define you as a person, and then they implement the bits back into you, like you said, Glenn, and then get you talking about things that you would never ever probably talked about. I was talking about a life of crime with her and things that it made it so acceptable, and it released a lot of things. But at the same time, now I get why she went backwards, and I was resilient and I was stronger than I ever believed, and that's what got me through grief, disfigurement, any part of mental health, anxiety. I managed, she installed, so that was a big 15-20% that woke me up.
Yeah.
The other thing, what I found as well is that, I mean, I don't know why, but I've always been someone that people come to me with their problems. And I don't know whether that's because they think I'm going to tell it like it is, or whether they. I mean, I've never ever blown smoke up someone's ass if they, if that's what wasn't warranted. But all the time that's going on, you think to yourself, I can't sort myself out, but I can sort other people out, and I think that sort of chips away as well. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird. I don't know.
No, it's fair. It's a fair comment when you feel that people come to you with all their problems, but you can't solve your own, or you feel that why doesn't somebody help me solve mine, but I seem to solve theirs.
Yeah.
And sometimes that also you can take it away where, like, Del, I don't know your life, mate. I'm so down like that, but you sometimes attract things because you're suffering with it. So when the people that are the best at giving advice are normally the ones that are struggling inside themselves. So you seem to be I've been it myself. So I've been a magnet to it. When I came, everybody wanted to know, how did you heal so well? And I didn't have all the answers, but I loved being the go-to guy, because I say it as it is, no bullshit. I just straight up say it, please or offend. I've always had that tongue, but I could never like heal myself. But do you get what I'm trying to say there? That sometimes,
yeah,
suffering, you
I think the problem is
sufferers.
Yeah, because I think I don't know. It's I suppose it's I don't know. Maybe it's an unconscious thing that people see. Maybe they I don't know. Maybe they see that there's something. Oh, my battery's going to go. Hold on.
Is that what she said last night as well?
Listen, no batteries needed, mate. Maybe it's just it's something unconscious that people pick up on, and signals, whatever. I don't know, mate.
But
birds of a feather and all that.
Yeah, I'm not like a spiritualist guy. I believe in a lot of stuff, but I do believe, and probably just to wrap that one up for you, is that you are what you project, even if you're projecting it subconsciously without realizing. So if you're suffering, you're projecting that suffering, and then like the universe it's all magnets, isn't it? So it magnetizes back to you.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting that if you go through, you was talking about. Hold on a minute. Will you sod off? The
wife again.
Yeah,
not you, Terry. Not you, Terry.
No.
He's not going nowhere, Del. He's staying.
It's dog walking time, and they drive me mad. If you go back and look at the men that have committed suicide, and the first thing that most people say is, "Oh, we didn't suspect a thing." They're normally so happy-go-lucky, There's been high-profile people that have the biggest example is like Robin Williams.
Yeah.
On the outside, complete and utter clown, constantly laughing, big smile, life and soul of the party, but absolutely in bits inside. Constantly, and it's always the same thing that gets said. It's always like, oh, we didn't think there was a problem. We didn't, and mainly because I guess is that because people are so, and I'm not absolving myself from this either. People are so wrapped up in their own what their problems are and what they're not really interested in what the person that they're passing them on to, what their problems are, or the fact that, could their problems actually be weighing down more on that person? Do you know what I mean? It's not, there seems to be and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, or it's not a great thing, but it's an unconscious thing for people to do that. I don't know. It's a real hodgepodge. And I just know that there is nothing out there at the moment, the mental health situation in this country, and it's only going to get a million times worse. What I'm worried about is children, because the mental health set up for children in this country is almost non-existent. And what is there is woefully underfunded, and woefully. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I've been through that with my boy, and it's just nothing. There's just nothing.
But do you find do you speak on behalf of males or females there? What do you
across the board, mate? Across the board, I see it every day. I work in a hospital, and I'm constantly in A&E, and the paediatric department now, A&E department. We have some real sad cases come through, and a lot of it's avoidable. A lot of it is down to parental neglect. And when I say parental neglect, I don't mean necessarily that they're, these kids are put out on the street, or they're not fed, or they're just woefully, emotionally, they're just neglected. They want to talk to someone but can't. And, we seem to be able to recognise the fact that these kids need to talk to someone, but we don't have the people for them to talk to. I mean, it's easy to diagnose, but there is just no one for them to talk to. And what they generally tend to do is, we had a case a while back where there was a kid who didn't get on with his mum. That was his sole mental health problem, was that he just couldn't get on with his mum because of whatever reason. And he ended up spending the best part of 10, 11 days in a cubicle on A&E because he couldn't go anywhere else. There wasn't a bed for him anywhere. And this kid was on the surface. I mean, I didn't see him for the whole 11 days, but he was a polite kid, and he was just because he was a 14-year-old. He was quite a big kid, and he didn't get on with his mum. And literally because of that, because she couldn't cope with him, he spent 11 days in a hospital bed.
Can I ask what we did to help? Did anybody help? Sorry, NHS. Did anybody help the mum or reach out to help the mother?
No. No. Well, by having him in a hospital bed for 10, 11 days, that's what they constituted as helping a mother, just giving her respite. But actually, what needed to happen was that, you know, someone needed to sit with them as a counsellor, and, you know, talk to them, find out what the issues were, because it wasn't violent towards her. He just couldn't. They were constantly disagreeing, and because he was quite a big kid, he never laid a finger or anything. She just felt emotionally she couldn't cope with it. Now, I know that nothing was done because he ended up coming back about 3 months later.
I think that's a big subject right there, Del, is that in the UK, even for myself, I'm talking from a man's perspective maybe, but because I do believe that at that time, in the Burns part, there was help for women. But yeah, if we go looking at children and the mental health state of it, there's no money, there's no funding, and the government or the bodies that look at so be definitely don't put enough time and effort into it, because like you said, a lot of cases are avoidable. A lot of kids and stuff, they just want a safe environment and maybe a loving environment, and that can be created by foster care throughout the, you know what I'm trying to say, you said some things, I know not everything's avoidable, but if there was support and somewhere, the go-to places, that's what.
Do you know what, Terry? Well, there was a girl that used to come in on a regular basis there, and she used to self-harm, and she used to get so drunk that she'd come in and she'd kick off, and she'd be fighting with the security, and she'd be fighting with the police, and then days later she'd come in and she'd apologise. Yeah. And her problem was that she just needed something. She'd had a real rough life. You know, she'd had a real, like, I think she'd had a mother had died, or she'd lost her aunt, or something, and then she was abused by a boyfriend and stuff like that. Now, you can only take people on face value, but, you know, that was her story. And she was backwards and forwards over the space of a year. And then all of a sudden she stopped coming. And it turns out the reason she stopped coming was because they'd moved her away. She wasn't subject to the influences that were causing problems, and she was doing really well anyway. But it was about a year, and then all of a sudden she turned up again, exactly the same thing. And what happened was, the place where she was staying, they didn't have funding for it anymore, so she had to come back. Yeah. And she went straight back into the cycle again, and that was it. Now, she was a perfectly intelligent young girl who just needed to talk to someone. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, I used to have conversations with her. You know, I'd ask her point blank, you know, why do you do these things? Why, you know, why do you feel the need to do this? And originally, she, you know, you just get a load of old fluff, and then she started to open up a bit, and, you know, you start to build a rapport. When you're seeing these people all the time, you're sitting there thinking, you know, don't understand why you're doing this, why you'd want to cut yourself and all that. But you start to learn why, and you start to, you know, I suppose, empathize with them and realize actually there's so much more we could be doing with these people. And realistically, we ain't. And young men at the moment, if you think about what's going on with gangs and stuff like that, you know, they're being forced into doing stuff that they don't want to do. You know, a lot of them don't want to do it.
But like you said, it's a safe place for them. It's all they know. It's like their street family.
Yeah.
I was a product of that myself. I became a lovable rogue. I called myself a criminal. But I was on. It was pretty cool. You know, I look back at it. Don't get me wrong. I don't glorify it. I look back at it and think, what an idiot. But at the time, it was pretty cool because I had a family that I never had. I come fresh out of care, and I had older guys that was looking up to me, because I would run around and sell guns on their behalf, and I'd drive the stolen cars and whatnot and sell it. And so I was just really a glorified runner for boys, but it became a family and something I couldn't walk away from too easy.
Well, you was looking for affirmation and they were giving it to you.
Exactly that. I was looking for love in all the wrong places, in effect. Yeah. And I was getting affection in a manly way, and I was earning money, and I was a gang. I was accepted into a community.
That ain't being funny. I mean, I don't think there's not one of us, well, unless I'm completely got it off the thing, but I don't think there's one of us that hasn't watched Breaking Bad and wish we were Walter White. Do you know what I mean? So
you nearly look like him now, didn't you?
Listen, don't worry about that, brother. But realistically, life, life ain't like that. Life ain't like that at all. And people glorify crime, and it's great, all the money, all the cars, and everything else. But you're constantly looking over your shoulder, and I think that in itself is a mental stress that, I mean, everyone has got that on a day-to-day basis, whether it's your boss, whether it's your wife, whoever. Do you know what I mean? You've always got someone looking over your shoulder. But to have that on a life or death basis must be incredibly stressful, unless, of course, you just really don't care and you've shut off to it.
Yeah. Well, when you just because you touched on the kid gangs there, when you saw, you don't actually think like that until
true, I suppose.
Yeah. At that time, you don't really think about the repercussions. It's pretty cool. You feel pretty on top of the world at that time because I've lived it. So, I
think the worst I've got to tell was selling sweets that I'd nicked from the co-op. So I can't really compare on the criminal stakes, but I might have sold a bit of dodgy gear now and again. But other than that, most of it, Glenn probably wears it.
Well, my father-in-law, he owns DDA and he works for the NHS, funny enough, in the mental health ward in Chelsea and Westminster.
Oh yeah, I know Chelsea and Westminster.
Yeah, so outside of that, him and his American friend, they own DD, which is dual diagnosis, which is mental health crossed with addiction. It's the only one in the UK. And so I obviously I get what you're saying, and I speak to him a lot, and I know, like he says the same thing. For what the money that they spend, and people come in for one night where they lock them up, straight jacket them off, medicate them up. If they could put more money into helping them and giving, like you said, everybody knows you can't change everyone, but there is hope, more hope there is with people than there is not.
Listen, I think mental health, it's interesting because mental health, so mental health is a massive umbrella that people seem to want to put
labels on.
Labels, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, you've got mental health as an umbrella. You could have a serial killer, and you could have someone who's depressed. Now, you can't tell me that you can put them under the same banner. But unfortunately, in this country, that's what we do. You know, Broadmoor, you've got people that maybe have committed constant, crimes. And I'm not talking about like killing people, but they've constantly done shoplifting, but at the same time said they were going to kill someone or do this. Never in a million years are they probably going to do it, but they've been locked up because they've said it.
But like Charles Bronson, in particular.
Well, he's never killed no one, has he? He's just a serial criminal. He's just a bit of a naughty boy in prison, isn't he?
Well, he only done 2 crimes, and the things that he's done. But again, that's a. I've read his books. It's a good example of a man that's never got help because the system has just locked him away from it and made him worse, made him a product of their.
Well, he's only doing that to survive where he is. I guess I don't know, but as I say, like Nicky sweets from a cup.
Change his location, change his circle, change the man's life. Then see what he can.
Well, it goes back to what I was saying about that girl, the one who was self-harming. I mean, they took her out of that. You take them out of that pond, if you like, and put them in a different pond, and it could be a different story. So,
your fishing example of taking things out of a pond in a different pond, Del.
Well, you can never change the story, but you can always help change the ending. Maybe that's how.
Yeah, no, that's true. Guys, listen, I've got to go because my phone's going to die any second, and I know that you're probably glad of that because someone else can get a word in.
No,
well, we've been on an hour and 20 now anyway, but and I'm probably going to shoot off today.
I will. Hopefully, I'll speak to you all soon.
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, money go
soon, mate.
Cheers, good luck. Cheers.
Are you boys staying on, or you?
I'm happy to stop. I'm happy to carry on. Whatever you guys want to. Del's still there. No, he hasn't gone yet.
I've got a patio to clean.
Oh yes, you have.
I would know if I knew how to get rid of this thing.
There he's gone. No, I'm happy to end it now. It's good. It was good.
Oh yeah, it was a good one. Hope you enjoyed it, Tel. Apart from the bit where we were talking about the cricket club for half hour.
Oh, man, I like listening to every story anyway, regardless. Like I'm a good listener, man, and I like to see your guys' stories, how you all met, because I was going to jump in, but like I'm like you, Glenn. I could say too much sometimes, but when I was young, my dad ran Parkfield Youth, so Richard Langley, Jason Roberts. I used to play football with them when we was young because Jason Roberts my age, and my dad was big into the club. So you reminded me of Parkfield Youth because it was like all the parents, all the managers, the chairman, and we used to have, you know, our summer festivals there and football tournaments 10 at 5 or so. So it's still good to hear. Even cricket, I don't know much about it, but it's the same environment. It's all sport, eh? It's the same.
That's it.
Yeah, and you get good people there as well.
Yeah,
that's what makes a club.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, chaps.
Cool.
Well,
good to meet you, Terry.
It's very good to meet you as well, Terry. Most enlightening. I might even just read your book as well. I've just found it online. It's quite incredible, really.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Cheers, Glenn.
Conway's doing a call Thursday night, 7 p.m. your time. If you guys want to jump on.
Yeah. Send me the stuff. I'll definitely be on that for him.
Ping invite, and I'll join.
Yeah. As soon as he sends
on this one. On
no, I'll get him to. I'll get him to do a different one, and then I'm doing a live with Bigger Than Maya again, the girl from last week.
Okay.
Well, I liked your chat last week, Glenn. That was really good.
What the bereavement one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one, mate.
And the Arsenal game got too good. I had to jump off. But...
yeah, no, that was a good one, mate. That was a tough one, man. Like, but yeah, I thought I got a lot of feedback off that. I'll show you it all, but from people that have like lost people and people that more people that have got a friend that have lost someone and they didn't know how to approach it and how to talk to them basically, or what they should be doing. So it was quite. I
still struggle with Kirk killing himself.
Yeah,
just can't get my head around it still. Yeah.
I think
it's
grief.
Good to listen to that. Yeah.
The grief never leaves you, does it? Like even with my daughter and my nan and granddad, even I was so close to them. But you learn to, you know that they're in a better place, and you sort of you have no choice, do we, to get to see them again?
No.
It lives on in our memories, and yeah.
Exactly. That's what I've always said. My weirdest saying is, as I always say that to the missus. I always say my life's about memories, and you could lock me up and throw away the key, all this materialistic crap in the world. But I could sit there and flick for a flicker pad of memories in my mind, and that's more beautiful than anything. And I could do that.
Yeah, I was only thinking of my brother the other day. There you go. Just because, it's
the memory.
He springs to mind, and he's there, and the picture of him and the way he speaks, the way he is, and I go, okay, it's good.
Yeah. No, it was good session, Glenn. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm talking about this week, but yeah.
Well, let's hope West Ham keep winning, and you can talk about that then. I'm joking,
mate. Please. Yeah. All right, chaps. Well, thanks again, and I'll
thanks very much, boys.
all the links and stuff. Yeah, Terry. Thanks again, mate. It was good to chat to you.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers, guys.